everyone, and thank you so much for being here with us. As we said, make sure to stick around till the end of the show because we have two hot tips for you and a clapback. But first, let's welcome Aisha and Haddy on the show. We're super excited. Too bad we didn't do too well on the game, but we're gonna put that behind us and focus on the mentor on the spot, and hopefully we'll get you guys to do a lot of good things with your businesses by the time we are done with you guys on the Mentor on the Spot program. But first, Aisha, since you're right here in Texas, we'll go with you first. Can you introduce yourself to the audience and what you do?
My name is Aisha Homemade. I'm a small business owner. I'm a mom of 3 and I live in Allen, Texas.
Welcome, Aisha. We're super excited to have you. Let's go ahead and move all the way to Belgium and we'll have the next mentee, Haddy. Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Haddy Gay. I'm a designer, a wife, and a mom. And as Juka just said, I live all the way in Belgium, and I'm really pleased to be here.
We're glad to have you on the Sister Show, so welcome, because you guys are all sisters. So I'll start with Aisha first. When did you get started, and how did you get started?
I started back in 2014. Okay, I started by making these signature sauces. Whenever I cook or grill something, I would make hot sauce on the side to eat with whatever dish I made. And then being hooked on the Oprah Show, I would watch the show like religiously every day. And then there was a time a stay-at-home mom came to the show. I was inspired right there. I was like, okay, what can I take to the Oprah Show? And since my passion lies with cooking or food, I'm a foodie, so I came up with the hot sauce line.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really good. And from watching someone else tell their story and be inspired, I think it's beautiful. Even though your dream was to be on the Oprah Show, but now you're on the Sister Show. So in a way, you manifested something there. So we are on a good road right now. We just have to keep it going, I would say.
That was amazing, Aisha. And I hope somebody who's watching would also get inspired by you. And Haddy, how about you?
Well, I started sewing during my teenage years. I started sewing by hand, actually. A few years back, I went to school for it. Decided this year to actually start my business after years of procrastination, like with Aisha. Yeah, so this year I started Sunset by Day today.
Aisha, can you share some of the products that you have, and also what is the name of your line?
It's Aisha's Homemade Hot and Spicy. This is my signature sauce right here. And then just recently, we have the candied nuts, the groundnut cake as we call it in Gambia. This is flavored with baobab, but I have another flavor coming up, the ginger and coconut.
Yeah, that would be yummy. That's going to be really, really yummy.
That's amazing. All those hot sauces are just delicious. Coming to you, Haddy, can you please show us some of the great designs that you have?
That's cute.
I like that.
With frills and embellishments. I love embellishments.
What I like about the pink one, Haddy, and let me know, I love it because it's very edgy and it's very different. And like you could dress it up and go to like a really fancy restaurant or fancy dinner or whatever gala. And you could still also be casual and wear flats with it, I think. I don't know. Did I get it right?
Yep.
You got it exactly right. That was actually the point. You can wear it during the night, on a date night or girls' night out, but also during the day with sneakers.
Perfect. Let's see the green one quickly, and then we'll move on to the main reason why we're here, which is to get the business going, because you got the designs down, that's for sure. Who can help you with that? Right?
Yep. Oh, wow. I like that green too.
The second piece, you can wear it different ways. Also, I like making pieces you can wear in different ways.
Right.
So, for example, this you can pull up the sleeves. These are the pants, and it looks amazing together.
I can see that. I love it. What do you ladies say? Do you guys love Haddy's designs? I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's on point. Yeah.
Aisha, you're just next door to me, so I need to get some of the hot sauce and the tamarind. Thank you very much, Haddy. That was really amazing. I love both of your outfits. Like Ole said, you can get multiple different outfits out of that. Now, what are the challenges that you faced since you've started?
Main issues I have, branding and consistency.
How about you, Aisha?
Same as Haddy just said, waking up every day, doing the same thing every day and not getting as much return as you expect from it. But thankful that I have a husband that supports, that holds it down in the house. But over the years, as Haddy just said, it's really hard to keep up because you need to have a source of income to keep going, especially here in the US. And then the business part of it is a struggle. Generating sales, it's a challenge for me. Okay. Marketing is a challenge for me because like we are doing right now, I think when you have a product, people want to see who's behind the product, and I have a hard time coming in front of the camera, showcase my business and stuff like that. And
well, you're doing amazing. That's what you're doing right now. So this is a good start, and we're going to take this and scale it up and take it to another level. So now that we've heard all the challenges, we're going to try to address some of these issues, right? And if you're watching and you want to venture into something new, a business or whatever you're passionate about, I'm telling you guys, if you watch and stick with this show today, there are a lot of things that we want to share, and hopefully you will learn from it. And of course, it doesn't end here. Our mentorship that we're doing with Aisha and Haddy won't end here because they're the winners, of course. So we're going to take it also off camera to go into it more with them. So that's why when we say apply, you have to apply if you want to pick up all the things that we're going to talk about. But let's go into it. Enough talking. Let's start it.
So Aisha and Haddy, you guys are both spot on in terms of the challenges. And I think for all of our audience watching or people around the world, being an entrepreneur, those are some of the key challenges, especially for you, Haddy, now, almost kind of like 3 jobs, right? You have your family, and then you have your regular job, and then you have the side business. The issue I found with most entrepreneurs, it's in the beginning, right? In the beginning, you're like very, very excited. You have this new idea. And so what all of us tend to do is we put all of our energy into that one, and then you kind of tend to burn out like very, very quickly and easily. And then also we have like unrealistic expectations. Just feel like, oh, we're just gonna do this 3 months and we're gonna be the next Martha Stewart or whoever. So after doing it maybe let's say for 6 months or a year and you're not seeing that return, that's when we start to slag off because we feel like, oh, this is not really working, and then you're not like being that consistent. You don't have like that excitement.
I would agree with you, I guess, like everyone else that's watching, as you mentioned. So what are some of the solutions, tangible solutions that we can look at for them and for everyone else that's watching, including myself and yourself?
But some of the things that's working for me is basically balance, right? Finding an equal balance between the 3 is challenging, but that's the only way forward.
Well, I do agree with you that it's hard to have a full-time job, have a business, and have a family at the same time. But I have to also kind of say that it is almost the same feeling having a full-time job, even if you don't have a family, because yourself as a loner is also a person of itself and a family of itself, and having a business to take care of. Because right now I have my own side hustle. I have 2 side hustles, and I have a full-time job, and I have my own life and my own mental like stability to also take care of, and that by itself is super, super hard.
Which one is harder, the mental stability, taking care of that one, or the job? And I'm just asking, not being shady.
All of them are really hard because I'm trying so hard to be consistent, because you have to know one thing, right? It's not about being perfect. Mm-hmm. It's not about getting everything perfect. It's about being consistent. And once you're consistent, the results will start coming, because Aisha did mention earlier that, sometimes when the revenue that you think you have to gain is not coming, then you start relaxing because you just lose focus, and then you just lose interest because you're demotivated. But the key here is just staying in line, having a goal and focusing on the goal, and not worry about how much income is coming in. Spending your time in actually being consistent and making sure that you're learning along the way gets you to where you want to be.
If we want to get like practical solutions into balancing it. And I do understand what Amy just mentioned, because even if you're single, that means every bill that comes in your household rests on your head by yourself, right? So you have to figure it all out. So of course, with the family situation dynamics too, obviously it's hard when you have kids and you want to juggle everything. So all of them, both of them, actually, you will face challenges, as Amy said. So now how do we practically balance the 2 together? For me, what's worked for me though is having a schedule. As we mentioned Ole yesterday when we were talking, is having a schedule where you dedicate the schedule and say, this is the time that I'm going to give to this. When that time is done and that is done, I'm done with that. I'm not going to deal with it. Of course, you can't do that with your family, but the business that you're doing, if you have a job, when you have your job, when you're done with your job, you clock out. So when you have the side business that you're doing, you also have to clock out at some point, because I feel like if you don't do that, there will be a point that comes in that you will actually start hating the side job that you're doing, because if it's consuming too much of you, you're not balancing it. That is a problem.
Life is balanced. If you cannot balance what you're doing, then obviously you can lose interest in what you're doing because you burn out, like Ole said. And like, for example, let's say with Aisha, she's a stay-at-home mom now. She has to get up early in the morning to take care of her kids. So from the time her kids are gone to school till about noon, she can say, okay, this is my main focus. That's all I'm going to do. But I think from the beginning, if we also have a business plan and plan out from the first year, don't expect to earn anything, because that's what most people would do and make a mistake by expecting too much from the beginning. And then when they don't see that expectation, then they start losing interest. So it's always the balance, but the planning ahead will definitely help.
Well, let's see what Aisha and Haddy think about what we just said. I mean, is this something that you guys have applied, or have you tried and it failed? Or
making a schedule and sticking to it, that's difficult for me. My daughter, I don't want to disappoint her. I want to spend as much time with her as possible. Yeah, it's just finding that balance. But you've made, like, obviously good points.
I'm a single parent and I've had kids, and I had to take them to school, and I have to take them to practice, and I had to work several jobs, and I have my own business. So what you can do, you have to find out, what time does this little girl go to sleep, take a nap during the day? If she doesn't take a nap, you have to find a schedule for her to take a nap. So that time frame that she's taking a nap, that 2 hours, 3 hours, that's when you need to take in control, taking care of your business and doing whatever you need to do. So that's the things that we have to plan our kids' life, and you also have to plan your life. You also have to plan for your family together. So you can say to your husband, this is going to be the time that I'm going to take to design or to sew. Now, during the day when your kid is sleeping, that's also another time that you can take to do whatever you need to do. You have to be really firm when you wanting to be a business owner or multitask or even having a family.
Over the years, I wasn't expecting much from it, because I knew it wasn't going to happen, because my kids were younger, and I had to work, I had to go to school and do all that stuff. But one thing I did was I never stopped making the hot sauce. I wasn't selling as much, but I would make it. If I don't sell it, I use it to cook, we eat it, but I never stopped, because my thing was, okay, if I'm not gonna make money off of it right now, I want to perfect this. I want to be able to wake up early in the morning and just cook my hot sauce, or just think of a flavor and just add it.
So I think what I like about what Jay was saying, Haddy, is that think about this as a full-time job. This is you working for a company. Don't think about it like, okay, this, I'm just doing this by myself. So if my kid wants me, I'm gonna just, give all the attention to the kid at that time. Because when you're at your job, your kid doesn't have a choice, right? It sounds mean because it's coming from me that doesn't have a kid, so I don't get it, right? But if you actually, you have to really put in place that this work at Sunset by Haddy, and my kid needs to go to sleep so I can get this job done, or I have my husband hold the kid from this time to this time because I need to make sure I put in the hours at this job.
Always treat your business as a third party. It's nothing personal. If you can see your business it's not yours, it's not about you, it's not about your family, this is the business, and I want to respect it and give it the time that it deserves, then that might help. It's hard, right? Because it sounds insensitive, but it's key.
Yeah. So I think the key is that we just all have to look at it as it's not a destination, it's more of a journey, right? So it's going to take some time. You're going to face some hurdles, some challenges. There's sometimes that you just want to quit, but just have in mind that anybody that ever make it to that point, there were some sacrifices. And sometimes maybe you will just have to sacrifice like sleeping.
And I learned this from a girl that's on YouTube who's doing very well. When she started, like about 10 years ago, I remember her probably filming from her phone, very dim light. But because of her consistency in what she does and actually believing in herself and always doing the research to better her craft, today she's making a lot of money, probably close to $1 million. A few years ago when I was doing YouTube, I had, for example, I had a T3i camera, which is a type of camera. But when I decided that I wanted to come back doing this, like you did with your sauce, I made sure that I did my research. I knew I was not gonna come back weak. I'm gonna come back even stronger. It took me a year plus to just do a research. You really have to be dedicated. You really have to put in the time and the work and sacrifice those sleeps. Sometimes I go to work on a 2-hour sleep.
Being in business or starting a business is all about setting the right expectations. Like Jay mentioned, there's like the business planning side of it, which will definitely kind of like help you in terms of, okay, it may be like a whole year, or maybe this may be like a 2-year thing where you probably will not see anything from the business. So I think setting the right expectation from the beginning will kind of like help you down the line.
Okay, I think that's really important for all of us to make note of that. But also now, since you really want to stay consistent and want to do it, you don't want to just keep doing something and not have any results, right? So that takes us to another place where we're going to talk about branding. How can you brand yourself and how can you set yourself apart where your business can stand alone and get a chance to actually also succeed? Because we're not just going to do it just for passion, even though it sounds beautiful, but also we need to be realistic. We need to be lucrative. So Haddy and Aisha, what do you guys understand about branding and what have you been able to apply? It doesn't have to be perfect. That's why we're here. We'll figure it out together. And we don't know it all. We hope that the people that are watching can also comment below on some of the ideas that you guys have that you think it's important to also apply to succeed and scale up.
So branding to me is how do you put your business out there for people? How do you make yourself recognizable? Like by the way of your packaging or...
Yeah, you got it. And Aisha,
that's what it is.
I eat with my eyes. So when the packaging is good or when the plate looks good, people buy that without even trying it. That's the little that I understand about branding.
you right on. You right on
Yeah.
spot.
Both Haddy and Aisha, you're absolutely right in terms of the branding. It's what people like how people recognize your brand. So if we look at a company like Apple, like I'm sure like all around the world, probably in every nook and kitchen, everybody knows about Apple. And if you look at their brand, which is just a piece of apple, it's not like it's something extraordinary. It's just an apple, right? But everybody recognizes their brand. But it's not just about like the visual recognition of a brand when we talk about branding as well, right? It's not just about the logo. It's not just about the colors that people see, but there's also an emotional perspective that's usually attached. And that's kind of like why Apple is doing like really, really well, because they were able to kind of like build some kind of a psychic that they connect with people, where if people see an Apple product, it's not just an Apple product, but usually people cannot even explain like, why are you buying like all these new versions of the phone? It's the same phone, it does the same thing, right? And then it's like really, really expensive, but because the way they brand it and the psychological thing that goes with it is like, okay, if I have an Apple, oh, I'm cool, I'm edgy, right? So there's some part of a emotional connection.
And to piggyback on that, likability is part of the emotional connection, like, right? And trustable,
Yep.
right? Someone that's why Aisha, earlier you were saying something which made perfect sense, that you want to get in front of the products and be able to sell your product, because people have to be able to recognize you and trust the person behind the brand, or at least trust the brand behind whatever you're selling, right? So it's really important to be able to be in front of the products and sell your story, your whole brand, by relating to people properly.
There's one thing that you are going to know every single time you get an Apple product is the consistency in the quality that they give you all the single time. And this is also important because a lot of businesses will start off great, and then once they start making a lot of money, then they dilute stuff, or they give you a lesser quality of material. But Apple would give you a consistency when it comes to quality at all times.
Yeah, and that's the
Yeah,
trust to
and-
go. They have to trust you. And in order
Yeah,
for them to trust you, you have to be consistent with the quality.
you actually spot on, right? And that ties to like the brand, because people kind of like knows that when they're getting an Apple product, you're getting a quality product, right? And so that's what some people would just go to Apple because they know like, okay, this is gonna be like a quality product.
Speaking of Apple, they were able to take that name, right, and take it to another level. But they had the millions of dollars or billions of dollars to back up whatever they wanted to do. We are on a smaller scale right here, Aisha and Haddy, and all of us that are probably watching this. So we can't do that. We can't take the name for granted when we go into the names. But they still strategically chose that name for whatever reason, right? Because it was very distinct. It was very short, to the point. So I say all of this to say, part of branding is also selecting or strategically picking the name of your company. Unfortunately, a lot of us Africans, we go into selling before we even come up with the business name. But it's really important to be strategic with the name of the company that you're going to choose, how it's going to help you with your SEO in terms of what it says about your company, how it represents your company without even somebody knowing your slogan or seeing your colors. Just to hear the name, what does it say about your company, right? Apple did it, they were very lucky. But as I said, we're in a smaller scale, so we have to be strategic with how we choose the name of the company.
Just to jump in there in terms of SEO, just for our viewers that may not be familiar with SEO, it's pretty much search engine optimization. That's what SEO means. And all basically in very, very simple terms, it's, for example, if you were to open, let's say, a store, but you decide to open the store in the middle of nowhere where nobody can find it, it's going to be very, very hard for people to come to your store, right? So maybe usually you may want to open a store where there's like traffic. It maybe there's like there's a market around, or it maybe there's a school around. So that's the same thing with search engine optimization. So when you coming up with names, you want a name that people usually search for. There's a lot of tools in Google that can actually help you, and it will give you actually the number of times people search for certain words, and you can actually try, like when you putting together the names, you could go in and search for those names, and we could kind of, these are some of the things we could help Aisha and Haddy like off camera in terms of like how to use those tools, and you can see like how many, like the number of hits that people are searching, so you can make sure you kind of like put it into your name, or maybe not, even if it's not in your name, but put it into like the product name. When you put in the description of the product name, you make sure you put those words in there, because when people go in and search
Keywords,
then your product will come higher on Google.
That way, when people are searching for those things, your name can come up on Google as on the first page or the second page, because you don't want to come up on the fourth and fifth page. Like Ole just said, it's a market, so it's not a physical location, but it's online. So you want to make sure that the name is